Weeks back, you guys saw me unbox this Hosim 9125 Sprint monster truck. Today, I'm actually here to share with you guys my honest thoughts on this vehicle. Although Hosim Key on Amazon actually sent this truck out to me to review, that's not going to prevent me from telling you guys my honest opinion and really give you guys an unbiased reviews. And it's not just with this video, it's with all my videos. I wouldn't be doing these reviews if I wasn't able to be honest with you guys. Just want to get right into it here and show you guys just a few of the main features of this truck. For most of the features though, I kind of went over all of these specs in the unboxing video. But in this specific video, I just want to go over the pros and cons of this vehicle, in my opinion, and just my overall experience with the truck. Getting started with the stock 2.4 gigahertz radio here that comes with these Hosim trucks. I think it's a solid radio overall. It comes with a shark fin antenna. It's got a foam steering wheel. One little feature that I honestly didn't even know it had that I was really stoked about was the blue backlighting. There's some clear plastic pieces on the control panel, and you've got the blue light shining through when you actually have a link with the truck. I got way too excited about that. I thought that was really cool. For an RTR radio, it's honestly not bad in my opinion. The ergonomics and the feeling of the radio, I think it's okay. It's definitely not the best. You know, it feels pretty cheap, but honestly, you gotta consider the price and what you're getting for the money. And I think this radio does a good job. It does what it needs. I didn't have any issues with it. As far as performance goes, durability, it's not like I dropped it a bunch of times, but nothing broke under normal use. And I didn't have any problems with the connection between the radio and the receiver. So on to the Hosim 9125 Sprint itself. This truck is slightly smaller than vehicles like the Arma Granite or the Stampede 4x4. I would really say this truck is more of a 12th scale vehicle in my opinion, but again, it could just be a small full-size monster truck that this thing would, I guess, be modeled after, but there's really no way of telling, and there's a huge gray area when it comes to the scales between different companies. This truck is actually advertised as a 10th scale. Might be a little bit misleading to some people as they're looking to buy this truck. Maybe just a little pointer to Hosim Key. You might just want to change it on the box to 12th scale rather than 10th scale. Getting started with the body. It's a thinner Lexan body. For an RTR, that's what you really should expect. I've got plenty of scratches up top. I don't have any major cracks on the inside. There's kind of some paint rubbing off from the contact points with the truck. I question how this body would do in cold weather just because it's so thin, and unfortunately I'm not able to test that because it's like 80 to 90 degrees outside right now. But from several hard direct hits, I mean, this body held up pretty good. I said it in the unboxing video, but I just wanted to mention it here in the review video. The difference between this Hosim 9125 and pretty much all of the others you'll see is this one will come with 2 LiPo batteries out of the box along with a LiPo balance charger that'll plug into your wall. And this thing also comes with 6 oil-filled shocks. Another change that I actually wasn't aware of is the battery tray. There was a few viewers that pointed it out in my recent videos, but this is actually a taller battery cover. Pop it off here. But the old cover that went over the top actually was just flush with the rest of the chassis. I'll put a link to this truck in the description if you're interested in purchasing one for yourself or just want to check it out. The truck drove fairly well overall. I was pretty impressed considering the price of this thing. Oil-filled shocks, it made a huge difference. I really can't complain with how this truck handles. When it comes down to it, it handles much better than it did without oil-filled shocks. And for a monster truck, I think this thing handles decent. With the Hosim 9130, that truck was a little bit too slow for me, but this had just enough speed to where I was able to jump it, do backflips and front flips with it. When it comes to steering, I think that the stock servo has plenty of strength to it. I made sure to keep an eye on the motor temps of this vehicle. I was pretty hard on the throttle as I was running it, and I was running it in some pretty tall grass, and I was also able to run both LiPo battery packs back to back, full throttle all the way through, and the temperature of the motors didn't even get above 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which was quite surprising. So getting right down to all of the cons of this truck, just the weak points that I experienced. The battery tray is a point I feel needs some improvement. Starting out with the LiPo battery, you can see this one kind of has a crease going through. But I noticed that with this battery compartment, it was trying to bend these LiPo batteries. These are soft case LiPos, so they don't have a ton of protection, which means the protection really needs to be built into the truck. This battery cover did fall off a couple times. It just kind of popped out. And then the soft case LiPo would just flop out of the truck. Kind of getting back to the bend that you see in this LiPo, that is because of the bottom of the tray here. You can see about 2/3 of the battery tray is flat, and then it drops down. And this is where it'll actually actually start to bend your LiPo batteries if you're jumping this truck high enough and have hard enough hits. You can see that the crease in the LiPo battery and then that little drop off ledge, they line up perfectly, so that kind of answers that question. But I think this battery tray really needs just a redesign. Looking back at the Hosim 9130, I didn't have any problems with the battery coming undone in that truck. I had more of the traditional battery strap over the top and it would kind of latch into another piece of plastic. So I guess getting a Hosim 9130 style battery tray into this thing would be a huge improvement in my opinion. Now the only issue I had as far as the durability of this truck goes is these wheels. In 3 different spots and on 2 different rims, I actually had just the outer edge of the rim crack, kind of where that beadlock paint is. You can see one crack there, and then on the rear wheel here I've got a crack there, a pretty big one, and then up there is just a smaller one. Now a few cracks in the wheel doesn't really affect the performance of the vehicle, but this is definitely something that could be beefed up in the future. The last sort of weak spot in this truck I noticed was the ring and pinion gear. Now besides the rims, I actually didn't have any problems with the durability of this truck, and I didn't have any problems with the ring and pinion gears. However, I did speak to a few people on Instagram and YouTube. There were people that have actually owned the truck for quite a while. They let me know that the ring and pinion gears on the inside here, they end up wearing out over time, and that's something to expect with any vehicle. I mean, it's just a part that will wear as you use it. This truck's no different. It's just made out of a lower quality metal, so it might not last as long as it typically would in other vehicles. It's like a cheaper pot metal that they use in the ring and pinion. I didn't run into any issues with mine, but it was a great point that was brought up. If any of the metal parts throughout this vehicle needed upgrading, it would probably be the ring and pinion gear. I feel would be the most important. And really besides those things, I had a pretty tough time finding out points of improvement on this truck. I was surprised with some of the hard hits this thing was able to take. So the durability of this truck out of the box, I think it's great, but when it comes to the longevity, it'll be interesting to see if this thing holds up. Kind of starting to see some notches taken out of the drive cups coming out of the diff here that the dog bones will go into. And then on the bottom of the truck, the metal skid plates are of course scratched. Honestly, not too bad. The truck doesn't bottom out too easily, so that was pretty good to see. I checked over all the screws on this truck, and the only 2 I noticed that loosened were actually on the hub carriers. You can see at the tip of my finger, there's just a super small Phillips head screw that's starting to back out on actually both sides. I'm not saying this is like the perfect truck, but for the price, I think it's well worth the money. What you get for the money is insane. I would really be interested to see what Hosim could produce for like $300. I think it would be mind-blowing. You know, it's well worth it if you're getting into the hobby, if you're a beginner, or if you're just looking for something cheap to, you know, pack up in your suitcase or your backpack and take somewhere. So that's really it for this one, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative. I hope it, you know, helped you to decide whether or not to purchase the Hosim 9125 yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.